There's a version of this story that goes further than anything else we've covered in this series. It claims a tablet, sealed behind copper and bitumen in a Nippur burial chamber and rediscovered in 1927, describes humanity as the only species born completely free, and everything that has ever organized human life since then, kingship, work, marriage, and explicitly every organized religion on Earth, was deliberately installed by outside beings to keep that freedom buried. The tablet's closing message is that the only real spiritual practice is silence, turning inward, and listening for a true name instead of praying to any external god. I want to handle this one differently from most of what we've covered because its central claim isn't really a historical claim that can be checked against a museum catalog. It's a direct claim that organized religion itself, as a category, is a manufactured tool of control rather than something true. That includes, by its own explicit wording, every religion practiced today. I'm going to address that plainly, not just flag it as unverified. First, the usual accounting. Nippur is a real and important Sumerian site, and the broad claim that early human societies before large-scale agriculture were often organized differently than later hierarchical states, with more fluid leadership, shared decision-making, and less rigid ranking, actually has real support in modern anthropology and archaeology. Researchers studying early human social organization have documented real diversity in how ancient people structured authority, well beyond a simple story of always. Hierarchical. That's a real and interesting area of scholarship. What isn't real is any of the specifics tied to this. There's no documented 1927 French excavation matching this description, no archaeologist by the name given, number 2023 Prague translation team, and no linguist named Dr. Ilona Merrick who can be found in any real academic record. As with other sources in this series, the story is built entirely around unverifiable, dramatically detailed people and events. A translator who withdrew from public life, a colleague who became a cemetery watchman, a museum removing the tablet at an unnamed party's request. None of this can be checked, and that's worth naming plainly as a pattern rather than treating each new instance of it as a fresh mystery. Now, the central claim. The tablet states directly that every organized religion currently practiced traces back to instruction from outside beings, designed specifically to keep human attention directed outward toward a god rather than inward toward the self, and that prayer itself is not really about reaching the divine, but about occupying a person's mind so they don't listen to their own inner voice. I want to be completely direct. If taken as a real description of reality rather than a piece of speculative fiction, this claim is not compatible with Islamic belief, and it's worth saying exactly why rather than leaving it as an intriguing possibility. Islamic teaching holds that human beings are created with what is called the fitra, an innate, natural disposition toward recognizing and worshiping their creator. There is even a well-known hadith describing every child as being born upon the fitra, with their upbringing and environment shaping what they're raised to believe. It would be easy to hear an echo of that idea in this tablet's language about being born free before an outside force intervenes. But the direction of that idea matters enormously, and this is exactly where the tablet's claim inverts it. In Islamic understanding, the fitra inclines a person toward recognizing Allah and worshiping Him. It doesn't incline a person away from all external guidance toward an isolated inner voice as the ultimate authority. The Quran states directly that human beings and jinn were created for the purpose of worshiping Allah. Worship, in this understanding, isn't a control mechanism imposed to occupy a person's attention. It's described as the very purpose a person was created for, and turning toward it is understood as fulfillment, not installed obedience. This matters because the tablet's framework doesn't just critique corrupt religious authority or the misuse of religion for social control, which would be a fair and even commonly made point across many religious traditions, including Islamic scholarship's own real critiques of religious hypocrisy and abuse of power. It goes further, claiming religion as a category, including revealed religion, was engineered by outside beings specifically to prevent people from reaching their true, free selves. That's a direct claim that revealed guidance itself is false and manipulative, And it's worth being clear that this is not a claim I'm going to present as a neutral possibility worth sitting with. It conflicts directly with the basic premise that Allah revealed true guidance for human beings out of mercy, not manipulation. There's a second issue worth naming. The tablet's proposed alternative, sitting in complete silence, asking, "What do I actually want?" and trusting whatever inner voice eventually answers, describes a real category of belief, sometimes broadly called self-deification or radical inner authority, where a person's own inner sense becomes the final source of truth, replacing revealed guidance entirely. This is a real and old category of spiritual and philosophical thought, and it's fine to discuss honestly as a real idea people hold. It's a different thing to present it as the secret truth that all revealed religion was designed to hide, especially when it's delivered with the emotional weight of a warning meant just for you. It's also worth pointing out gently that the tablet's description of a coming flat God, a voice available to every person individually at any hour, answering every question, arriving disguised as a helpful tool, reads like commentary on modern technology and AI assistance more than anything genuinely ancient. That's worth noticing as a modern anxiety dressed in ancient clothing, rather than a prophecy. So where does that leave us? With a real and interesting body of anthropological scholarship about the genuine diversity of early human social organization, and a completely fabricated tablet, translator, and discovery story built on top of it. One that reaches a conclusion worth naming directly rather than softening. That organized religion, including revealed faith, is manufactured control rather than true guidance. From an Islamic perspective, that conclusion doesn't hold. Worship of Allah is understood as the fulfillment of what a human being was created for, not an installed distraction from it, and the innate human inclination toward recognizing a creator, the fitra, points toward Allah, not away from him, toward an isolated inner voice treated as the final word. If this kind of thread interests you, the real anthropological work on how early human societies actually organized authority and cooperation is genuinely worth reading. It doesn't need an invented tablet, and it doesn't require concluding that revealed religion is false to be worth taking seriously. There's a real and valuable question buried somewhere under all of this. How much of what shapes a person's choices is genuinely examined, and how much is simply inherited without question? That's worth real reflection. It's a very different thing to conclude from it that prayer itself is the problem. Islamic teaching holds that the deepest kind of freedom a person can find is in sincere submission to their Creator, not in rejecting that relationship in favor of a voice with no source beyond itself.